assistant. Capricia Marshall has spent much of her career at the center of power in Washington, serving as the special assistant to First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton, and then as the social secretary in the Clinton White House, and then as chief of protocol for President Barack Obama. And she's written about all of it now in a brand new book. It is called Protocol: The Power of Diplomacy and How to Make It Work for You. We welcome now Capricia Marshall to the program. So congratulations, first of all, Capricia, in the book. But really give us a sense of protocol, because one of the things I learned from reading your book is it's a lot more than just being polite, knowing manners when it comes to international relations. It actually can form some of the structure for some of the decisions that get made.
Oh, that's absolutely right, David. And thank you so very much for having me on your program. You know, in government, what I always thought of protocol is a superpower. It starts the wheels of diplomacy, and it lays out a well-defined roadmap, very detailed roadmap for every interaction, no matter the size, whether it was big or small, between our global leaders. I prepared everything for the president and the secretary of state before they even walked into a room, from all of those details about the encounter, the size of the room, the table setting, color, lighting, everything. We'd attend to all of those details, but as well, we would really consider issues like language. What type of language was going to be discussed? And then all the way down to mindset, because we wanted our leaders to be in the right mindset before they walked into the room. And equally, we wanted to shift the environment and the ambiance so that our counterparts were in a proper mindset. The whole ideal of protocol is that you want to create bridges of understanding, bridging relationships, but then you also really want to persuade your counterpart to your way of thinking. And so all of those details of protocol, the nuances, those micro moves put together had a major impact on everything that the president did.
One of the things I really enjoy about your book, Capricia, is that it gives some great stories, and I'll just draw on two of them here. The contrast between two meetings between President Obama and President Putin of Russia, one in Mexico, one in Ireland, and you go through the configuration of the room and things like the fact that if you have too high a ceiling, actually people think abstractly, they don't get concrete. It was a big success in Mexico, not so much in Ireland.
That's exactly right. You know, the meeting in Mexico was really important because this was the first time that President Obama was meeting with President Putin as president. And so we had a lot of skin in the game here. I met with the NSC advisors and understood the broad points in the agenda, what they were going to be meeting about, so that I really understood with my team how we had to construct that environment. And like you say, you know, from the size of the room, it really mattered because what we wanted President Putin to feel was a little pressure. We wanted him to feel pushed into answering the hardline questions that were going to be presented, like Syria. And so the smaller the room, the more pressure he felt in addressing those issues. And like you say, you know, the lower ceiling height forces folks into making some concrete decisions. And I have to say our roadmap really worked at that meeting, because when the leaders emerged and they gave us the readout, it seemed like they came to a closer consensus. And, you know, didn't really work for the visit that the Russians set up for us when we were in Ireland. It was a vast, big room. The seating arrangement allowed for them to feel some distance. There wasn't a face-to-face, which is often very good between the U.S. and Russia, because while they're addressing these hardline problems, you want them to be looking each other into the eye. Everything that was surrounding that environment there wasn't any ambiance. There was no environment. We didn't know what they were thinking, and they certainly weren't projecting anything on us. And at the end of the day, they walked out of that. You could tell from the photographs this was not going well. At the end of the day, they walked out of it not really coming very close together in any decision. So protocol creates that environment through all of the details that we put into place so that we can get the outcome that we want and really pivot the power to our advantage.
So, Capricia, finally, most of us are not going to set up meetings between heads of state in our lives, but a lot of us do set up meetings. I mean, in the business environment and other environments. What could we learn? I must say, when I was running ABC News, I wish I'd known some of these things. I think I would have rethought the way I configured some of the rooms. What should we be taking away from your book?
Oh, golly. It's the reason that I wrote the book. I wanted to use these tools for those in business and in their individual life, because if, from a president to a CEO, you want to make sure that they have all the tools at their disposal to, create the most advantageous environment. So in your business, what you are thinking about is your branding and your culture. How do you define your ethos when you think about what's the cultural IQ of the business? Ideas like hiring a culture officer who can make sure that those who are coming on board have that understanding of what your business identity is. And embracing, of course, diversity. You've been talking about that quite a bit on the program. Right. You think about the microculture in a business, like where does the CEO sit and who runs the meeting and what's the dress code?